Okay, so let's get you to get better at algebra. And the only way to get better at anything is through practice. So we're going to be practicing algebra. And in this particular video, we're going to be talking about proportions. So let me ask you, what is a proportion? Now, probably most of you out there have a good sense of what that word means, but if we had to kind of more precisely define it, what would be your definition? Put that into the comment section. Of course, if you can define it in a mathematical sense, that's even better. But this is a proportion problem, so we're going to quickly review what a proportion is, how to solve it, and obviously we're going to solve this problem here. Now, if you feel like you have the algebra skills to solve this problem, I would certainly encourage you to pause video and maybe tackle this problem. Might take you a minute or two to do this and put your answers into the comment sections as well. But we're going to take a look at how to do this problem and proportions precisely in just 1 second. But first, let me quickly introduce myself. My name is John. I'm the founder of TabletClass Math. I'm also a middle and high school math teacher. And I'm going to leave a link to my math help program in the description of this video. But if you are struggling in mathematics, I'm here to tell you that you do not have to struggle, okay? Maybe you don't think you're good in math. I'm telling you right now, what you think of your abilities really has nothing to do with reality. Everyone out there that's listening to this video has the ability to be excellent in mathematics, but what you really need, um, besides the desire to want to, be great at math, is you need the right kind of instruction. So if you don't feel like you're getting enough instruction, or if you're not connecting with your teacher's teaching style, I can help you. I've been teaching math for decades, and I really break things down in clear and understandable little bite-sized pieces so anyone can understand mathematics. So if you're at the middle school, high school, or even college level in terms of mathematics, I can definitely help you out. Now, if you're preparing for any exam or test that has a math section, I'm talking about things like the GED, SAT, ACT, GRE, GMAT, ASVAB, AccuPlace, or CLEP exam, teacher certification exam. You get the idea. I can help you prepare and pass those exams. If you homeschool, you absolutely must check out my homeschool math courses, program, and curriculum. Excellent way to homeschool. And if you don't have any math notes, I'm going to leave links to my math notes in the description of this video. But if you want excellent grades in mathematics, you must learn how to take excellent math notes. Okay, so let's get into this problem. And the first thing we're going to do is just define what a proportion is. So here, I have an example of a proportion. Now, what do you think I'm showing you here? Okay, well, it's kind of obvious, right? You're like, well, you're showing me some fractions, and you're showing me this fraction is equal to this fraction. So is that what you mean? Is that what a proportion is? Yes, indeed. A proportion is nothing more than two equal fractions. So here we have the fraction 3 over 6, which is equal to the fraction 1/2. Of course, this is equal to the fraction 5/10 or 500 over 1,000. So it doesn't make a difference. I can equate any two fractions as long as they're equal, and I'm putting an equal sign in between these two fractions. This is in fact what a proportion is. Okay, a proportion is two equal fractions. Now, one of the characteristics about a proportion is something called the cross product. Okay, let me write this over here, cross product, and this is how we solve proportions. Now, there's other techniques to solve, or other properties of proportions, but this is the one that you really need to know. Now, the cross product is exactly what it means. It means that this word product means multiplication, right? And cross means we're going in a crosswise uh, wise pattern here. So the cross product in a proportion is equal. So let's take a look at this. So 3 times 2, if I write that right here, that's going to be equal to 6 times 1. Okay, so and when you have a valid proportion, i.e. two equal fractions, the cross product will always be true. So 3 times 2 is 6, 6 times 1 is 6. So you can see here that the cross product is equal. So this is really the main thing you need to know about how to solve proportions. So if you want to go back and revisit this problem here real quick, how do you think we're going to solve this? Well, if you're saying, well, are we going to use a cross product? You would be precisely correct. Okay, so we're going to solve for x. We're going to figure out what values of x make this fraction. And if you look here, this is a fraction and this is a fraction as well. So we're going to be using the cross product to solve for x. Okay, so if you think you can do this now, go ahead and apply your algebra skills to solve this equation. I pretty much told you the setup, but of course there's a few little areas here that can trip students up. So I'm going to show you precisely how to solve this right now. So if you don't want to see the solution, go ahead and pause the video, but I'm going to get into the solution right now. And let's talk about this. Okay, so first things first, we know this is a proportion. It's two equal fractions, i.e. the cross product is true. So I'm going to multiply x times x minus 1. Now, here is something that's very, very important in algebra. Anytime you have a difference like x minus 1 or a sum like x plus 5 in an expression, in an equation, always mentally, if you don't have them, if they're not already written into the problem, put grouping symbols around those expressions. I purposely left this out because a lot of you out there, when you were doing the cross product, you might say, okay, x times x minus 1 is going to be x times x minus 1. You might just write x squared minus 1. Okay, that's a common mistake. That's absolutely incorrect. Okay, now if this had parentheses, it would be more obvious on what we do. Okay, it's going to be x times x minus 1. So sometimes these grouping symbols, parentheses, are not going to be there, so you're going to have to add them in. So anytime you see a sum or difference in algebra, it's not a bad idea to add in those parentheses. Okay, so we have x times x minus 1, okay, and that's going to be equal to 5 times 4, all right? So this is an illustration of the cross product. Okay, so now we're off to the races here by solving this equation for x. So the first thing I'm going to do is multiply x, distribute it in here. I'm going to end up with x squared minus x is equal to 5 times 4, which of course is 20. Now, what type of equation is this? Okay, well, this happens to be a quadratic equation. And you study quadratic equations, and this is like first year Algebra 1. Okay, so if you're in a first year algebra course, this is what you're going to learn. So if you haven't studied quadratic equations yet, then, you might not, don't feel too bad about not knowing the rest of what I'm doing here, but you're going to need to know how to solve quadratic equations. So in this particular case, we have x squared minus x is equal to 20. Let's go ahead and set this entire equation equal to 0. So I'm going to move this 20 over. This is how you solve this quadratic equation. So I have x squared minus x minus 20 is equal to 0. Now, when you're solving quadratic equations, you always want to attempt to factor this quadratic trinomial. Okay, so I'm asking myself right here, I'm like, can this thing be factored? Well, factoring is one of the most important skills you need to have in algebra. So this can be factored, and it's factored as x minus 5 times x plus 4. When you multiply these two binomials together, you get back to x squared minus x minus 20. Now, if anything I'm talking about here, if you need additional help, I'm going to give you a couple quick suggestions. One, I have tons of videos on my YouTube channel in my pre-algebra and algebra sections on this material. Of course, you're going to really, really thoroughly learn this stuff if you sign up for one of my courses, like my Algebra 1 course. Of course, I have various courses, college algebra, algebra 2, pre-calculus, pre-algebra. So whatever your starting point is, but this, what we're talking about here is really definitely like at the algebra 1 level. Okay, so at this point, we have our factors. We factor this as x minus 5 times x plus 4, okay, and of course that's equal to 0. And because this is equal to 0, we can set each factor equal to 0. Okay, then we're going to solve for x. So x minus 5, we're going to set that equal to 0. X plus 4, we're going to set this equal to 0. And when we solve this equation for x, we get x is equal to 5 and x is equal to negative 4. Okay, so these are the two solutions to this quadratic equation, but are they in fact the solutions to the proportion? Okay, well, you always want to check this, and let's go ahead and check both of these solutions right now. So here is our first solution, and here is our original proportion problem. Let's go and plug in negative 4 for x right here and see what we come up with. So I'm plugging in negative 4 there, negative 4 there, and what do I get? A negative 4 minus 1 is negative 5 over 5, and then I have 4 over negative 4. Well, negative 5 divided by 5 is negative 1, and 4 divided by negative 4 is also negative 1, so this checks out. So this is a good solution. Okay, so x equals -4 is a solution to this proportion, but we came up with this other answer as well. Okay, so this works. How about this? X equals 5. Does that work? Well, let's go ahead and check that now. All right, so x is equal to 5. Of course, I'm going to plug in a 5 for where x is at. So I'm going to put a 5 there and a 5 there. 5 minus 1 is 4. So I got 4/5 on this side, and I got 4/5 on this side. So this checks out as well. Okay, so both of these are the correct solution. All right, so how many of you knew this? How many got this all right? If you understood all this, you're able to solve this quadratic equation and completely solve this proportion, then I must go ahead and give you your nice little happy face with a good old 1987 flat top haircut. A plus 100%. Matter of fact, I'm going to throw in a few bonus stars so you can have an extra special day. Nice job. Okay. Now, if you're lost on any aspect of this, don't be discouraged. Okay. The learning, okay, is about recognize the first part of learning is knowing what you know and don't know. Okay, so if you're like, oh boy, I don't know this, and this, well, that's a good start because this is kind of your to-do list to go learn these things. I will tell you this much: if you're trying to learn algebra, there are no shortcuts. You're like, yeah, I like this. I wasn't so good at this, so I'm going to just skip that and start working on the next topic. That's the worst way to try to learn algebra. Algebra is connected, so you're going to need all these skills. So when you don't know, when you discover a part of algebra or mathematics that you're like, I don't really know this, or I'm confused about this, that's actually a good thing because that's your target list to go fix something. Okay, so that's what this is all about. That's what practice is all about. You can't get great at anything without practice. So hopefully this little video helped you out. If that is the case, go ahead and consider smashing that like button. That definitely helps me out. And if you're new to my YouTube channel, please consider subscribing. I've been on YouTube for 10 plus years, have over 1,000 plus math videos, basic math all the way to calculus and everything in between. I'm passionate about helping you out there overcome any challenges you have in mathematics. Okay, everyone can excel in math. So if you like my teaching style, please take advantage of all the content that I've made and will be making. But my best math help will always be within my math help program. Okay, so with that being said, I definitely wish you all the best in your mathematics adventures. Thank you for your time and have a great day.